Hello, good afternoon. My name is George Ray. I'm coming to you from FIU Small Business Development Center. We at FIU and the Small Business Development Center are committed to helping small businesses grow. We have a team of dedicated consultants who can assist you with your business. We provide one-on-one individual consulting services to individuals and also people who have existing businesses. Today's presentation is about franchising. It is a general knowledge presentation to expand your knowledge about franchising. After the presentation is over with, there may be time for a Q&A for question and answer session very briefly. I'll go ahead and hop right into my presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll go ahead and get right into it. So the SBDC is funded largely in part through the SBA. We are an official resource partner of the Small Business Administration. There is an intro poll that we recommend that you fill out. I think the intro poll may have messed me up a little bit. Next slide. All right, so a partnership of government and higher education and the private sector, that's essentially what SBDC is comprised of. We have about 1,300 centers nationwide, and we're a network dedicated to, as I said previously, helping small businesses grow. This is our Florida network. FIU covers Dade and Monroe County. That's Key West, all the way up to County Line Road in Miami-Dade County. We opened our center in 2014. And since then, we've expanded from Miami-Dade down to Monroe, which makes our center one of the larger centers in the state network and across the nation. So these are a list of our core services. As I told you previously, we offer free one-on-one individual consulting with a wide range of services, anything you can think of as it relates to business. Financial management and access to capital is one of our most sought after services. We also have a focus on international trade, marketing, growth strategies, government contracts, franchising, you name it. We're here to help you. Part of being in business is knowing how to reduce your risk exposure and having the right resources around you to reduce your chances of failing. So having experienced business consultants such as ourselves and the people who you see listed there on our team certainly can help you and help your business grow. So we're going to go ahead and get right into franchising. The economic impact of franchising in the United States is immense. It accounts for at least 12% of our overall GDP for our economy and also jobs created. It's been around for a while. And some of the most popular, most prevalent franchises that you're probably aware of is like McDonald's and Burger King. Those are some of the big box franchise brands. But let's look at what franchising is. We're going to do an overview of the definitions of what franchising actually is. So franchise businesses have a greater economic impact than just the report and economic activity. These businesses support the growth of other businesses as well, and it creates value in real estate. For instance, if you have a retail plaza and you're looking for different businesses to put into your plaza, having a franchise, a nationally recognized brand, certainly creates an anchor business inside of that plaza, which allows other businesses to want to come in and maybe open up. So let's look at what franchising is. Right now, I'm just giving you a lot of general information regarding economic activity, but this information is very important to understand. Once you understand this, then you understand the influence and impact that franchising has on our economy. Small business is the lifeblood of the United States economy, and franchising plays a huge role. I won't read all the numbers. You can just look at them yourself. But let's talk about a definition-wise. What is a franchise contract? Okay, the legal agreement between the franchisor and the franchisee. So essentially, that's what a franchise contract is. And a franchise is the privilege conveyed in the franchising contract. So essentially, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself as it relates to being a franchisee. For instance, McDonald's. Okay, if you bought a McDonald's, you would be buying a McDonald's because you want a nationally recognized brand. You want a standardized business process that you know is proven to be profitable, and that's what flagship franchises do in terms of offering those type of benefits. So the definition of a franchise: a marketing system involving a legal agreement whereby the franchisees conduct business according to the terms specified by the franchisor. What is a franchisor? So a franchisor is the party in the franchise contract that specifies methods to be followed and terms to be met by the other party. So a franchisee is an entrepreneur whose power is limited by contractual agreement with the franchisor. So to give you an example, if you own the Chick-fil-A as a franchisee, you have to be under the control of the franchisor under the franchise agreement. Now, the day that you can sell the most chicken is on Sunday. However, if you own a Chick-fil-A, you know that you can't be open on Sunday. And if you've ever been to one, you know you can't be open on Sunday. So franchisors have to follow the franchise agreement, okay? And franchises, they have these agreements in place to maintain scope of control and also standardization in the process, all right? If the franchisee tries to grow a brand and maybe start doing things a little different than the actual franchise does itself, then it harms the brand. Could you imagine if Burger King started selling alcohol or McDonald's started selling alcohol? One franchisor arbitrarily decided to do that, how that could potentially harm the brand. So consistency is the key to success in franchising, okay? Standardization and consistency. So when you go to a McDonald's, I'm sure everybody who's on this particular webinar today has been to McDonald's. If you haven't, I want you to get off of here right now and go to McDonald's and order number one, and then get back with us. So, but what I was going to tell you is this: if you've been to McDonald's and you ordered the same order before, whether it's a number one, a number six, a Happy Meal, whatever it is, no matter where you go, that meal tastes the same way. The burger buns, everything about that meal tastes the same. It's standardized, and that's the importance of standardization as it relates to franchises. If customers had a different experience at a different franchise, a different McDonald's with a different taste, then it could impact their perception of the actual overall brand. So franchises try to keep everything consistent. So let's look at franchising options. So there's different franchising options available if you're looking into franchising opportunities. The best advice I can give you is to go to entrepreneurship.com, and there you can look at the list of the fastest growing franchises. There's about 500. They rank them in category and listing, and it also lets you know how much money you need to get involved in these particular franchises. So the benefits of a franchise is you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. You have that recognizable name brand that hopefully has achieved some type of brand recognition, national, regional brand recognition. You have a guaranteed, proven, profitable concept. So it's taking a lot of your risk exposure away from starting a traditional business by being a franchisee. But you have to follow those strict rules, those strict guidelines. So for instance, well, I won't go into that. I'll just focus on this. So product and trade name franchising, that's an option. Business format franchising, master licensee franchising, multi-unit ownership, area developer. So some franchises, they don't want you to just buy one franchise. They want you to buy multiple, like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. You have piggyback franchising, you have multi-brand franchising, you have co-branding. These are all types of franchising options. You should research the ones that are right for you. The best way to do that is to go to entrepreneurship.com and look at the list of 500 franchises and what order they're ranked in, which ones you think you can qualify for. And then to meet with a franchising consultant similar to myself, to help you pick the ones you think may be suitable for you. If you're a veteran, you get up to 80% financing for your franchise venture. So you have a leg up on everybody else. Most traditional banks will finance franchises, okay, up to about 70%. And the rest you have to come up with yourself. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons in franchising. The profitability of success, proven line of business, pre-qualification of franchise. So this is what I was talking about. The advantages, having that training, okay? You have people with subject matter expertise knowledge on how to open a franchise and how to make it successful, how to grow it, because that's been their primary and routine function, working for that franchise, okay? Helping new stores come on board. So getting that training is something that's invaluable, particularly if you're a small business owner. Most small businesses fail between 3 to 5 years. And as a startup expert, I would say that most businesses fail due to undercapitalization, not having enough money, or not having a sophisticated strategy developed or implemented appropriately. So, this really takes the guessing game away from running a business. They pretty much give you all of the instructions. They send you to McDonald's University to learn how to flip burgers, and they can teach you everything except hard work. So there are some limitations to franchising, and we'll talk about those limitations very briefly. The initial franchising fee is a huge barrier for most people. The average franchising fee is about $30,000, okay? But that cost is something that's required to be a franchisee. The investment cost is a barrier for most people, but I would say that if you're interested in franchising, figure out how to make it work for you. Maybe you don't have the money, but you're a veteran, so you have some value. If you partner with someone else who has the money, you're going to get everything at a discount. So life is not about what you get, it's about what you negotiate. So that it is possible to negotiate a franchising agreement, even if you don't have enough money. I've actually helped clients do it previously. It just has to be the right opportunity. So royalty payments, those are payments that you're responsible to pay back to the franchise itself. So the franchise has royalty and advertisement costs, technology fees, they have all kinds of fees. In franchising, your margins are relatively low, but your volume is really high, and that's how you make your profit. So multi-segment ownership is really how you create generational wealth as it relates to franchising. So you have restrictions on business operations and particular hours. An example of that would be the example I gave you all earlier with Chick-fil-A. Even though Sunday is the day where you can sell the most chicken, that's also the day that Chick-fil-A is closed because they do it for religious observation. So it's an example of some of the restrictions that franchisee owners can face when dealing with the franchise. There's other restrictions as well that you can face dealing with the franchise. So most franchises want to see you succeed. They want to see you profitable, but some of them, they have games, okay? So they can cannibalize your sales. For instance, they'll give you a territory, and if you're doing very well in that territory, they can move somebody else in that territory to cannibalize your sales. If you don't have a territorial agreement that gives you specific boundaries that nobody else can go into, you have to know to negotiate those things prior to you entering an agreement with the franchise. The franchise could decide, hey, you know what, we're going to let this person open up a store, take all the risks, and after 5 years, we're not going to renew a franchising agreement. We're going to turn that into a corporate store. So we want the money ourselves. And they can say, hey, we'll offer you a second store somewhere else, but we're not renewing your franchising agreement here. They don't necessarily have to have a good reason to do it. Okay, as long as you can't tie it back to them doing it out of sheer greed and profit, you don't really have a recourse. There are franchises that they're only concerned about getting your franchising fee and nothing else. They don't really care about you succeeding. They just want your money. So it's very important to investigate and do due diligence, speak to franchisee owners, visit the franchisee a few times, and just ask the right pertinent questions. Also, stop by SBDC and get you a free consultation with a franchise consultant. That certainly helps as well. So, additional advantages of a franchise model. So it certainly does reduce your risk exposure. Going into business for yourself, but not by yourself, that's what franchising is. And you can use best practices from other franchisees. That typically helps as well. The use of valuable trademarks and logos. So for instance, when you see the golden arches outside with McDonald's, you know where you're at. You're at McDonald's, it's time to eat. Where's my Happy Meal? So access to proven business systems. So this is proven to be profitable. It's going to work, okay? Or else it wouldn't be a franchise. Now, there are some franchises that have titled themselves as franchises, but they have not achieved regional or national brand recognition. I always discourage clients from buying into those franchises because those franchises simply haven't achieved the recognition that allows them to be profitable. Okay, and they may have a cool franchising system. However, they don't have the regional or national brand recognition to support the actual concept. So those franchises, they'll try to tell you, hey, you know what, we're the low-hanging fruit. We're only a discount versus the competitor that costs a lot of money. Which the reason why it costs a lot of money is because they have a lot of value over there. So don't be cheap, all right? Make sure you find a brand that represents the best of what you want. So management and training for franchisees. So a lot of franchises, they offer technical assistance to help you navigate the treacherous terrain of the startup process. So immediate economies of scale, certainly they're there, a way for existing businesses to diversify. Franchising is a great way to make more money. So franchisor control over franchisees. So, there's a lot of different restrictions that can be put in place that can harm your business. If other franchises open up in your area, it's going to cannibalize your sales. You'll still be obligated to pay your franchising fees to the franchise, but you'll just be suffering with low sales. There's different tricks people can play, all right? So the most important thing I can tell you is do due diligence. I had a client once who came into me and he talked to me about his franchise that he selected, and he needed help because he felt like the franchise was going to go out of business. His actual business was going to go out of business. The biggest thing I want to know from him is, why didn't you come to me before you actually selected that franchise? Why would you wait until after you selected the franchise and you're just about to go out of business to come see me? Hey, you knew me this entire time. Like, come and see me before that happens, not after. Because there's nothing I can do at that point besides say, I'm sorry. So requiring site approval. Sometimes franchises, they'll help you find locations to open up at. They have powerful software and research tools that will allow you to find locations. They're good at doing it themselves. They can restrict what you can sell, the hours you can sell things. That's just all kind of restrictions. So if you're not really good at following rules, you don't like rules, then being a franchisee is probably not going to be ideal for you. They control advertisement. I've had situations where clients have put money into the national advertisement campaign for a franchise, but because it's not a national or regional brand recognized franchise, they take the money and put it into a national campaign. It never trickles down to that regional territory where the franchisee is located. Instead, they're focusing on a different market because they have limited resources because they're not a big box franchise. They can't afford to, market evenly across the board. So essentially, they had the franchisee paying for advertisement for the franchise, but it was for, targeted advertisement in a geographical area different than the one he was in. So that right there is no fun. So very important to understand how this works. And if you don't understand how it works, find somebody who does. All right, see if we can go to the next slide. I'm encountering some minor technical difficulties, but give me just a second. All right, there we go. So evaluating franchising opportunities, select a franchise. So personal observation, I always say invest in something that you like because you'll enjoy the work a lot more. Investigating the potential franchise, information, resources. Like I told you before, entrepreneurship.com. It has a list of the 500 fastest growing franchises, and it ranks them in order, and it tells you the cost to buy in. Typically, you need about 30% of whatever the overall cost is. The rest you can get financed through the SBA or through a resource partner or financial institution. And I would say this as well. If you're interested in a franchise, look, and particularly if it's in like the food service area, look for locations that already have existing infrastructure where they have like a grease trap in the hood. Because permitting alone could take you 6 months to a year to open up your franchise. You'll be out of business before you can even be in business. just with permitting alone. So always look for existing infrastructure. And if you change your mind about franchise, you still want to open up a restaurant that's food-based, same thing. Look for something that has an existing infrastructure. But also making observations critically important. Due diligence. People will try to rush you into deals. If they try to rush you, run away. Okay. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they govern the rules regarding franchising. You should look at their rules, look at the requirements the franchisers should have, look at how they rate them. This stuff is really important. Consult with a franchising consultant. So the the franchising disclosure document, the FDD, is a very important document, and it typically lists all of the fine points of the franchise, okay? Now, I'll be honest with you. Most companies, they're trying to sell you. So they're going to give you the rosy and peachy side of things. They're not going to tell you all the bad things about the franchise. But the FDD, the franchise disclosure document, should list pertinent information regarding the franchise. As such, information regarding the top 25 performing stores, what the revenue is like. It will give you a projection on how much revenue you can make. Now, sometimes they'll leave out, hey, that particular store has a drive-through. That may not be in the report, but it's something you have to know or ask questions about. They're going to leave out things they don't want you to see. It may not be necessarily misleading, but they're going to lead with their best foot in front of them. And the things they're not obligated to tell you that's negative about their business, they're not going to tell you. Like, we had 10 franchisees close down in the last 2 years. Because if you knew that kind of information, you could say, you know what, I don't want to be a part of your franchise. This sounds too risky, or let's renegotiate. And I need a better franchising rate for this. Remember, class, I forgot I'm not a professor right now, I'm just an SBDC consultant. But remember this, okay? Life is not about what you get, it's about what you negotiate. So make sure, even if you see a negotiated fee, make sure that with that negotiated fee, that you're still able to negotiate, okay? Just because there's a number there does not mean you cannot negotiate, okay? Life is not about what you get, it is about what you negotiate. So it's very important to negotiate whatever's in your best interest. Now, we're kind of like rounding the corner on my presentation. I'm just about done, but I do have a few more slides pertaining to evaluating opportunities for franchise, okay? So dedication. Is the franchisor dedicated to a franchise system? So you got to make sure that, that they're dedicated to assisting you with your needs. Like I said, some franchises, they're not really concerned with helping you, providing you technical assistance, making sure your business has success. They're only concerned with getting your franchising fee and your royalty fees at the end of the month. They don't really care if your business sinks or swims. You don't want to be involved in a franchising system like that. That's why it's so important to do due diligence. Speak with other franchisee owners, talk with them about their experience and things of that nature. Okay? So market demand, make sure that the business is in demand, okay? Make sure that the business is in demand, and make sure that it's profitable. And you only can do that by talking to other franchisees. The franchise is not going to tell you, oh, we're not doing so well right now. That's not in their best financial interest. So geographically, I think location matters. Make sure you're in a prime location if you're going to open up a business, whether you're in a franchise or not. Very, very important. And reputation. Does the franchise enjoy a favorable reputation and broad acceptance in the industry? Okay. Some franchises, they have quarterly meetings with franchisees. They have biannual meetings. They have annual conferences where they share best practices and ways to cost, and also be exposed to new technology and new things coming from the franchise itself. And in some cases, good franchises, they'll waive your marketing fee if you just show up to the convention. They encourage franchisees to get together and talk amongst each other. So marketing and training is very important. If you have a big box franchise, one that's achieved national or regional brand recognition, you don't really have to worry about the marketing aspect of it. It will sell itself. Training is very important though. You see, customer service really makes the big difference when it comes to franchising. Look at Chick-fil-A. I don't think they have the best chicken. I think it's Popeyes. However, they do have the best customer service, and the chicken is pretty decent. consistently, they never defy logic when it comes to customer service at their fast food restaurant, as other restaurants commonly do. Okay, you go to a different fast food restaurant, you don't know if the bathroom is going to be clean or if the person's going to be nice who's serving you. Well, Chick-fil-A, they're always nice, the bathroom's always clean, and the service is very efficient. And that's what makes them one of the best franchises. But they've achieved that level of brand recognition as the direct result of the franchise caring about their franchisees. Another thing about their model that makes their model so great, and I'm not promoting them and telling you to go look into a Chick-fil-A, I'm just using them as a case study in my presentation. They require the owner to operate. So the person who actually owns the Chick-fil-A has to operate the Chick-fil-A. They can't be a silent owner, okay? So that also improves the standardization of quality, because you know your boss is there. You can be fired at any time. You're going to do your job a lot more. So because when the cat's away, the mouse comes out to play. So let's look at franchisee relations. Does the franchisee have a good relation with franchisees? Very important. You need to do due diligence, talk to other franchisees, and see how their relationship is with the corporate organization. Does the franchise have a history of attractive earnings by its franchisees? So also very important. How profitable is the franchisee? So do you have cash available? Can you invest in something like this? Do you have experience in business? Well, if you don't have any experience in business, but you have an entrepreneurial spirit, being a franchisee may be right for you. It takes the guessing game away from how to operate a business. All right, it reduces your risk exposure because you're trained on how to operate the business. And you have a recognizable name that everybody knows. And a standardized business process, all you got to do is follow it, and it equals success with hard work. So another option is to seek an SBA loan to get financing. So SBA will finance between 70 and 90%. If you're a veteran, you can get up to 90%. So all you truly need is about 10 to 30% down, and you can get into your first franchise. So when you need money for franchising, that's when you want to call the SBA, call SBDC, and talk to one of our access to capital consultants who can assist you with finding out what's right for you. So let's look at franchising as it relates to what I call the future of franchising. So you look at different companies, they have different models where it's like owner-operator models, okay? And it's a standardized process. Airbnb, they have a standardized process, how you check in, how you check out, the things you have to have in the actual Airbnb, like internet, towels, TV, remote, different things. Uber, the same thing. So franchising is taking a different form now with independent operators and the use of technology. So this is a little, forward thinking, but you can also be a franchisor yourself. All you have to do is come up with a concept, develop an app behind it, and you can branch out from there as well. So here's some key takeaways for potential franchisees. How much total investment will this franchise require? You need to know how much money it's going to cost, because as I told you previously, the number one reason why small businesses fail during the startup process is undercapitalization, not having enough money. Next to that is implementing the right strategy or developing the right strategy to implement. How much will I need in operating capital reserves to cover losses after opening the franchise unit? It reaches the break-even point in terms of cash flow. You need to know that information. How long will it take? How much extra cash do I need to cover living expenses while I'm starting my franchise? How much will it take my new franchise to reach a break-even point? How much of my total investment includes capital reserves do I have to have in cash? All these things are incredibly important. What standard financing options exist for me? Call the SBDC. What alternative financing options exist for me? Call SBDC, ask them for help, register now. How much money can I make in this franchise? Call SBDC, get a consultation. I'll sit down and talk with you about that. What are the ranges in financial performance of existing franchisees? Call the SBDC, we'll talk about it. How financially strong is the franchise company? Call SBDC, register for a free consultation, we'll talk about it. So key takeaways for potential franchisors. If you are a franchisor, build and protect your brand. It is your biggest asset. So if you want to start a franchise, I can assist you with that as well. What are some resources I can look to as I start? SBDC at FIU, we're the best resource around. Where are the ballpark startup costs involved? Go to entrepreneurship.com. You can take a look at the fastest growing franchises, and they rank them in order. And you can always call me at SBDC. How much of a franchise royalty percentage should I collect? It all depends. Typically, they collect between 6 to 12%. Anything above 12% is kind of sketchy. You're probably going to have cash flow issues. How much do I stand to make? Sky's the limit. You can start off with one and branch out and have multi-segment ownership in 30 and 40, 50. Shaq has like 50 or 60 franchises. So Rick Ross, same thing. You can start off with one and have multi-segment ownership. That's how you create generational wealth. So for instance, McDonald's, they're not necessarily a restaurant company. They're a real estate company. What they do is they buy land, they build McDonald's, and they hand the keys to a franchisee who operates it on their behalf. And if that franchisee messes up, they kick them out of that McDonald's because they own a location, and they bring somebody else in who operated under the rules they gave them. So that's how they work. And if their company's ever in a bind, they have so much land, they can always borrow against it or sell it. The only time you see a McDonald's is not on freestanding land is when it's at a gas station or if it's at like a Walmart or the airport. So key takeaways for potential franchisors. What basic legal considerations do I need to be aware of? The FDD, the franchise disclosure document, it gives you all that information. So you need to know all fine points of what makes a franchise a franchise. How do I attract potential franchisees? You can hire franchise brokers. You can go to franchising conventions, the IFA, the International Franchising Association. They have different expos on franchising. It's not really hard to find. I'm a member of the IFA. So how should I screen prospective franchisees? How many franchise locations should I open at first? So typically I would say open up one and work out your system gaps and your kinks, then you can open up more. These are some great resources for franchising if you need them. But I would say the best one is entrepreneurship.com. And also the IFA, International Franchising Association, this one here, it's really, really good. So our office, SBDC, we're here to help you. We're staying ready to help you and assist you with all your business needs. That's pretty much it for my presentation. I probably went a little faster than what I probably could have done, but I did that also because if there's any questions and the moderator wanted to give you an opportunity to ask me questions, you can. So at this time, I'm done with my presentation and I'll take any questions you may have.
Yes, we actually did have a few questions, George, so I'll run through those for you. So the first one that we received was, is there an organization where we could connect with other franchisees?
Yes, the International Franchising Association, IFA. I actually know the president of that association. He's a really good guy. He's very passionate about what they do at IFA, International Franchising Association. You can research it. They have meetings across the country. They have an annual conference. They have biannual meetings. They have roundups. Their national office is in DC, but they come to Miami about 2 or 3 times a year. So that would be a great resource. They have other expos as well. I went to one recently. I forgot the name of it, but it's not as good as the one I'm telling you about. So I don't even remember them. So that lets you know how good they are.
And we had an additional question from Anna. Again, she said, will you be in personal debt to franchise if you do not break even?
I don't think you'll be in personal debt to the franchise. Every agreement is developed differently. So I can't really deal with the hypotheticals, but typically what happens is you have to take out money in order to pay the franchising fee and for the cost of construction. Once you do that, that's pretty much your business. I mean, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself because you have the franchise that you're in business with. If your business fails, you may be in personal debt, yes. I mean, if you use your personal money to start a business, I would assume that, yeah, you would probably be in personal debt.
And so our next question that we have is from Ryan. He said, where do we go for help becoming a franchisor, not a franchisee?
Contact SBDC. I would love to meet and talk to you about it. There are several organizations that can assist you in developing your franchise toolkits. Some are reputable and others, they proclaim themselves to be reputable, but they can't do anything. There's a lot of fraud behind that, a lot of trickery. So having the right people help you is critically important. The wrong people can really hurt you and create a lot of liability for you. There's about 15 fine points that need to be in the FDD, the franchising disclosure document. It's about your financials, your performance, and just about everything you can think of as it relates to the franchise. That's an integral part of what is important and required for you to become a franchise. Another thing that's integrally important is your operations manual, how that's written. If you write a manual and any of those instructions lead to somebody getting hurt or injured, it creates instant liability. So having that done properly, having the training done properly, these things are critically important to your success as a franchise. If you market yourself to be, a franchising system, one that's going to be profitable, and you actually put a profit projection in your FDD for a prospective buyer, and they buy into your franchise, they do everything you told them to do, and they don't meet those numbers, they may want to come and try to sue you. It's possible. So you need a lawyer who can shield you from liability when crafting those documents, somebody who's experienced at crafting franchise disclosure documents, operations manuals, and things like of that nature, et cetera. Hopefully that answers your question.
So that actually is all of our questions, George. We did have one additional one, but it's more so housekeeping. So I'll cover that. We will be providing the presentation to all of the participants from today, as well as any links that might not have been in George's presentation. We'll add them to the email for everyone. Again, thank you all so much for participating, and just make sure to answer our feedback poll that we just launched. It just helps us continue to better our presentations and make sure that we apply that feedback to provide you with content that's helpful. So thank you all.
Hopefully this was very helpful to you all. And the most important thing I would say about selecting the right franchise is making sure they provide you with great technical assistance and training, and making sure that you have a franchising fee that's affordable for you. Those things are critically important when it comes to looking into investigating franchising opportunities. So please do due diligence, do research, and contact your local SBDC center. And thanks so much again.